Good evening, parents. It's Mrs. P here again with another video about our math concepts that we're working on this week in the 6th grade. Today we talked about absolute value. It does coincide with our rational numbers unit that we're working on, thinking about positive and negative numbers, those positive and negative numbers being whole numbers known as integers, decimals, and fractions, which, as I mentioned in my video yesterday, integers, decimals, and fractions are now numbers on a number line that can be positive or negative, with positives always falling to the right, positives to the right, and negatives to the left. And don't forget, I also mentioned that is the same thought and process that we do for a vertical number line. We would have positives up here and negatives down below. So today, when we're thinking about absolute value in our rational numbers on the number line, absolute value simply tells a student that the distance from 0 is where that rational number falls. So for instance, I have a negative half. The negative, of course, would fall to the left. I then need to find on my number line where a negative half would go, which would be right there. It is between 0 and negative 1. I'll mark these here for us. It would be between 0 and a negative 1, halfway. Well, if I want to know how far that distance is from 0, how far the rational number negative 1/2 is from 0, I simply would see the distance as a jump, half jump. And then I also have some symbols that I'm going to be using that let students know, hey, I'm asking for the absolute value, the distance that 1/2 is away from 0. And that's what I've noted here. Absolute value is the distance of a rational number from 0 on a number line. And this is the symbol that we use when we're asking anyone, hey, what's the distance of this number from 0 on a number line? And it doesn't matter if it's a whole number, a fraction, or a decimal. So if I look at 1/2 and I want to know what the distance is from 0, well, it's half the distance. It's half the jump from 0 to a negative 1. If I have a whole number, 2, and I ask, what is the absolute value? 2 is on the positive side of a number line. It is right here. I simply look at that and I ask, what is the distance from 0 to 2? And I like using jumps on the number line just to model it for the kids. There's 0 to 1, that's 1 jump, and 1 to 2, that's 2 jumps. So the absolute value of 2 is 2. And that probably makes a lot of sense. I mean, that doesn't seem difficult. But then you might ask, well, what's the distance of a negative 2? What would be the absolute value of a negative 2? I will graph a negative 2 here, 0, negative 1, negative 2, going to my left. And I'm going to do the same process. Start at 0. I jump, 1 jump to a negative 1. I jump again to get to negative 2. And I jump 2. I don't need the negative sign. Negative 2. I jumped 1, 2 times. So the jump in distance, or absolute value of a negative 2, is also 2. And if you notice here, they're both positive numbers. And why is that? Because absolute value doesn't talk about the value as in what something's worth. It's looking at value as what's the distance of the number from 0. And it doesn't matter what type of rational number I use. Whole numbers, fractions, decimals, these symbol lines simply ask, how far is that number from 0? 75 hundredths is located right there. How far away is it? Well, it's 75 hundredths away from 0. And that's what we worked on today. We then took that location and how to tell how far they were from 0 to comparing and ordering them. So if I have a set of numbers, and I'll erase this really quick for us. If I have 2 numbers and I want to know, well, which one is greater than or less than, and I have, say, a negative 7, greater than or less than the absolute value of 7, well, they have to know the negative 7 is negative 7. That's the standard rational number. It's not asking me for absolute value or distance. It just says, what is that? Well, it's a negative 7. And here there is 7 Well, how far absolute value is 7 from 0? It's 7. So, ladies and gentlemen, this would be the greater number. And that happens with fractions and decimals. It doesn't matter what type of rational number. We're really just looking at distance from 0, not the value of the number, ladies and gentlemen, unless in here there's that positive or negative signs, because in absolute value, they're all going to turn out to be positive. Just another quick video. If you have any questions, again, just email me, call me, have the students ask me. Hopefully the students are really understanding these concepts this week. They're fairly easy with positive and negatives, but it does get difficult because they have to watch the language, the mathematical language and terminology in math, but usually modeling it for them helps them out a lot. So until next time, have a great evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.